Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Jakob Anker Nielsen as always, and I'm here to present this week's topic on the Certified Technical Architect program offered by ServiceNow. I have the honor and privilege of being a part of this program here, currently on week 9. And this week's topic relates very much to integration strategy. Like last week, I will try to make this a bit more appealing and engaging for you as an audience to listen into. So besides me talking in my face, I'll try to include some slides with some very fancy animations that I've tried to add, hopefully not over the top, to kind of give that aspect to you as well. I will be discussing primarily one topic of the myriad of different topics that we were discussing this week here. The one I will be talking about relates to orchestration when it comes to user authentication and authorization via provisioning by from Azure AD to ServiceNow. With that being said, allow me to share my screen. It should be visible to you now. So, achieving automated authentication and authorization, and how to write headings or headlines starting with the same letter. See what I did there? I was quite proud of myself at that moment. Fancy animation. And a quote from Bill Gates, essentially just emphasizing that automation is quite key and is what we need to achieve to really scale our operations and to make it efficient. One step in doing so, one of many needed, would be to look at the user lifecycle from onboarding to offboarding, and how do we manage it? Do we do it decentralized or centralized? What I'll be showing you is a bit about the centralized management of the user. So the benefits of having a low touch and centralized user authorization is that we will have an authentication, is that we will have a cross-enterprise single sign-on. This bit here most are familiar with. So we are able to utilize Azure or another identity provider software platform to be our identity provider essentially across the enterprise. So we only need to log in once, and we can utilize this authenticated profile to have different authorizations across different systems. And that's the authorization part is what I find more interesting, and where I would like to show you some tips on how you can improve that side of the journey to reduce the manual overhead of managing the user permissions within ServiceNow through automation and orchestration. We also have automated on and offboarding. So instead of having to essentially go to all of your different systems in your IT infrastructure, such as ServiceNow, instead you will only do it from one place. In this case, it would be Azure. And by being in specific groups with specific permissions in Azure, we would then trigger specific Azure flows that would give us authentication and authorization within specific systems as it has been configured to mirror. I'll show you a hypothetical example of this. So look. On the Azure side, let's say we have a user called John Doe. He has a location in EMEA. And we also have a dynamic group in Azure called ServiceNow ITIL group. This here is a group with a membership type dynamic user, meaning that there will be queries or filter conditions for when a user object would be fitting and automatically assigned to this group here. And that's where much of the low manageability and low touch, as referred to, comes from. Then we can do some additional roles to it as well. We can use the out of the box from Azure, and we can also use some of the options to customize some ourselves. We could make some that would mirror the ones inside of ServiceNow, such as an ITIL role. Then inside of ServiceNow, and this is an important bit, as I'm yet to see many organizations and enterprises actually using this model here, though there are some large benefits to use administration if you should do this. Essentially, your user groups, they have two different functions. One is assignment group, we know this. The other one is persona group. This might be new to some. So let's say that we have a persona group called ITIL fulfiller. So this is a placeholder or kind of a model when you consider a product model versus an instantiation of this as an asset, for example. So this is a group model, and it is used to model what is an ITIL fulfiller authorized to do within our ServiceNow platform. We do this by appending different roles to it. So nothing new here. The only new thing is that we do not append any memberships. This is an empty group. What we do instead is that we have an assignment group label. So there might be several different assignment groups. Here we have first line support EMEA. We might also have for APAC and all different regions, all referencing the same persona group ITIL fulfiller, and thereby inheriting the roles and as such permissions to act within the system accordingly to the persona ITIL fulfiller as defined on the persona group model. This is then, it is the parent, that's how you map it. And this has some benefits because already now we are making the system more manageable, because instead of having 50 different groups for all of your fulfiller types, you can still have those groups, but you will not need to manage the role assignments on the different group levels and question, oh, why can't I see this and why can my colleague do that? Because they are manually all maintained in terms of roles and memberships. Here we have one persona group. So every group that is referencing the persona group will have the same inherited permissions. This is then where the automation comes in. Through Azure Flows, what would happen upon a single sign-on is the provisioning of a user profile, as well as, if it's the first time the person logs in, as well as an SN ServiceNow group membership. So hereby, we are through ServiceNow, we are effectively saying that this user here that is logged in, you have access to this system, and because of the relationship that you have in Azure to dynamic groups, you have certain permissions to authenticate and authorized to do certain things within the ServiceNow platform, which is mirrored in the user being created and assigned to a set of groups with a set of permissions as defined by the parent persona model group. So I hope this gives you an idea about how this could be beneficial for you. In fact, you could pretty much administer all of your user and group management from Azure at this point here. You could probably also include group provisioning since you have the dynamic group, and you could mirror that into ServiceNow persona groups. Though likely you would still need to have some data management on the group level inside of ServiceNow by a local admin. Thank you for listening in on this week's presentation by me. I hope you did enjoy both the topic content and audio visuals for the presentation. Do let me know if you have anything you would like me to focus on and potentially improve, and I'm happy to take it into consideration. I will see you for next week. Until then.